Welcome to Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. My name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. Our objective is to enthuse, inspire, energize, and empower entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs of all stripes here in BW and beyond. We do so by inviting these entrepreneurs into our makeshift studio. Sometimes we call them to the restaurant, sometimes we go to our studio, and we ask them to share their experiential knowledge, their experiences and their expertise, and we ask them as many questions as we can, aimed at empowering you also as a viewer. Hello dear viewer, dear listener, my name is Mompoloki Lerumo Mogobe. I welcome you once again to an exciting, invigorating and wonderful episode of Mogobe Nuggets of Wisdom podcast. We always bring you life-changing, informative and dynamic information for your own personal development and growth. And I have this time around Mr. Umesh Loona, who's a very, very good friend of mine for many, many years. He's joined us. We're going to talk about all things property. We're going to focus specifically on nuggets pertaining to investment with special emphasis on the property clock. You must stay tuned to find out about the property clock. But I ask you a special favor, please, if you haven't done so already, subscribe to our channel. Please, we need your subscriptions. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me here.
All right.
Yes.
Do you mind just telling the viewer who you are, sharing a little bit of background, and sharing a little bit about your economic activities these days?
Thank you. I'm Umesh Loona, born in India, came to Botswana in 99, and I run a few companies now, but major one being property, Apex Properties. I'm sure everybody knows me from Apex. And when I started, which was 2004, I was, how old was I? Almost you can say in my 20s, and with very little knowledge about property, with very little experience about business or life, just like any youngster. But I used to hate school. I never believed in school. Because we always believed in the old era that for you to be a billionaire you actually have to be a school dropout. So I was one of those who always believed that you have to actually run away from a school for you to be a billionaire.
Yeah.
And
did you actually run away from school, or you finished?
I ran away from home and then I ended up here. So school and home both.
Yes, yeah.
So somehow in the hassle of making a living and making a life, I came across some network marketing business, and then they are the one who actually put me in the right attitude. Because network marketing is one of the difficult business, you can say, and they build a learning and an academy part of that business. So before you can even subscribe to that business, they'll tell you, read this book, watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Wow.
Watched a movie called The Secret, and that's what changed my life.
Wow, this is great, because I have a similar story to tell.
Yeah.
Were you an Amway distributor like me?
So in my case, it was not Amway, it was a company called Quest.net, which is out of Malaysia. Yes, but Amway being one of the biggest one, I'm sure they adopt to similar business model. Yeah. Yes.
So Mr. Kiyosaki messed up your mind a little bit.
He messed up in a big way.
Yeah.
And he still messed up.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's a very interesting background. Yes. Now, tell us about Apex and talk specifically about fat cakes, because the fat cake thing is stuck in everybody's mind.
Yeah, so in terms of Apex Properties, we in the business of selling and renting and valuation property. But me being in charge of sales and being a sales guy, it was just like having a coffee with few friends, debating what is the history and the culture in Botswana, what is we can relate something which everybody will be able to, relate and excite them. So then that's how, and I'm fond of food, as you can see, I cannot live without food. So, food is always something which, everybody has to eat, every day, and that's how we dig a little bit, and then we say, okay, yes, fat cake is something which everybody eats almost every day, or when they were growing up, everybody had fat cakes. And then we use that, to convert into sales strategy, and we sell fat cakes, but not really. We move property so fast, it feels like it. So basically, when anybody who wants to sell a property, they're always in a hurry to sell property, because they want a quick cash, so that they can move to the next.
Some of them are under pressure.
Yeah, so that they can move it to the next, investment, ladder. So that was the thought process behind it, and I think
How has
worked for
Apex
us.
grown over the years, and how big is it now, and what sort of employee base does it have? Market capitalization, any of that? You want to share any of that?
So, we currently run, a couple of businesses, property is one of them. So we've also, because in Botswana, one of the difficult part is the market size is small, population is small, so it's very difficult to grow vertical if you don't have a good capital base, if you don't have a rich father. Some of us, we started from almost zero background.
We're in the same
Yes.
team, yeah.
So, having a capital, it's a big problem. So property investment, as you are into property, so you know how difficult it is to build a base in property business, and it's every day it becomes more and more challenging to do any property project, because you are required to have more and more capital all the time. But now the question is, what do you do to have a capital formation? So that's where, biggest life lessons, my lessons have been that, when an economy like Botswana, where your growth can go negative, and then how do you fight that negative growth cycles?
Yes.
And obviously we all make mistakes. If you make few wrong decisions, few mistakes, then how do you recover yourself from those losses?
Okay, so how big is the company now?
So
employees
so those challenges made us look outside beyond property. And currently we employ, around 70 people in different businesses.
Wow.
Yes. So major one still being, you can say, property, but we are into property, financial services, into solar, into trading, and we just started last year out of COVID, Apex Smart, which we are trying to build the online e-commerce business. Plus we have opened 2 shops, so we're combining, the physical and the online, because it's again very difficult to build even online business, because the ecosystem doesn't even exist in Botswana.
Yeah.
So, we have to create our own ecosystem to fight a bit of market share and have a better customer experience.
That's true.
Because general perception about online, that online should be cheaper than the shop. So how a new startup can offer, better value against big giants is another challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is it called, and how does it operate, this online startup?
So it's called Apex Smart, www.apex.co.bw. So you can buy, online, or you can come and, buy from the 2 shops we have. Yes.
Wonderful.
So certain things we keep stock, certain things, we source for you on order.
Is there a specific product offering you're focusing on?
So it's multiple, products currently, but it hasn't reached, you can say, an optimum level where it is. It is a business which is still under construction, because it's a difficult domain to be.
Yeah.
Especially when we start as a startup, we don't have any experience in retail, we don't have any strength in any of the products. So we are trying to build strength from procurement, strength from IT, strength from customer experience. So wherever we manage to build some strength, we are able to offer a good value.
Yes.
Where we are not, we're still struggling. Yes.
There's one business you're doing which sees your face all over billboards, sometimes holding a cup of coffee.
Yes.
And there's one statement you've made which really impacted me, where you say, don't wait to buy property, buy property and wait.
Yeah.
I want you to speak to that phraseology, what you're communicating, and talk also about why you're appearing in so many billboards.
Yeah. So the first one, don't wait to buy property, and buy property and wait. So basically, when you relate to, when you understand property or what is property investment, you have to appreciate that, you only make money by action. You cannot be inactive or inaction, because property doesn't make you money with just by thinking about it. You have to act.
Yes.
So basically, it says buy property and then wait. Meaning, once you have invested, only then the capital can grow. If you haven't invested, how it will grow? So you have to be a player. You have to play the game for you to make money, or for any investment. So basically, that's what it says. And appearing on the billboards. It's like just even being here. We have many roles we play in life. In our personalities, there's many personality traits. Whether it can be personal, professional. But I find that my spiritual side is a little bit higher than an average. Where I have a lot of pain, like whatever I learned in my life, I like to share. I always have a quest to make a bigger impact in the country or in the society. Because we owe. Like I feel I owe. Botswana, the land of Botswana, the people of Botswana, that I need to share. I need to give back in a certain way. So that's the quest that we happen to be in the street pole business, and business is fairly not doing well, because it's not one of the best business. Because today, outdoor advertising, like if you want to advertise, there are 10 different ways to advertise, and there are much cheaper ways to advertise. So outdoor advertising business has lost its value. So we have a business which is not working for us, but on the same time we have an opportunity to take advantage of the investment we have made, and then we just use that for thought leadership rather than business.
Wow, that's good.
Yes,
It's about positioning, isn't it?
It's about positioning. It's about making that impact wherever we can.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're going to talk principally about the property clock. I want you to set the stage and explain to the viewer what the property clock is, what the concept is all about.
So you see, like when I when I started my journey of learning, falling in love with learning, and falling in love with life, or falling in love with making money, you have to actually understand how the money world works, how the capitalist works. You see, so if you don't understand, then it's going to be very hard for you to make your first million or come out of vicious cycle, because it's a very hard concept. So you have to first really invest some time, or invest on your learning, personal development, to understand how the economics works. So I in my first part, like I said, I used to hate schools, but when I fall in love with the education, and from last 10 years I'm always in the school. And I did my masters in real estate. I'm always doing something. So one of the things which fascinated, and generally, like when we are playing in the market, we are playing in the business, you have your own experiences.
Yes.
So fundamental, in any business, it's economics, demand and supply. So you have to zoom down everything in life to demand and supply.
Yes.
So the principle is, if the demand for anything which goes up, the price goes up. So you can only make money into any product or any investment when the demand is going up. Now you have to understand what triggers demand, what factors builds up the demand for any product or services. So until you get this right, it's very hard for you to do any business or any investment, because people will confuse you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So just like if you look at our body, 70% is water. Doesn't matter what you do. So if you can appreciate this fact that your body is 70% water, and you can treat your body by just drinking sufficient water. You don't need medicines. You see. So same way, if you want to be into a space of business, into space of investment, you have to understand it's demand. It's only demand which will make you money.
Yes.
So there's no point you trying to supply something and you bring oversupply, and then you hope that you'll make money. So now in property economics, they explain you this from a very simple formula of a clock. Just like any clock, we
Just
have
like a watch.
just like a watch, you have your 12 o'clock, you have your 3, you have your 6, your 9. So markets are always moving, just like principle of energy, either energy is expanding or contracting. It's never stagnant. So our life, either we are growing or we are shrinking. You cannot say you are same like yesterday. Even your money, your balance sheet, even your bank account, it cannot be same like yesterday. Either you have improved today or you have gone backward. So either you have made money today or you have lost. It cannot be same like yesterday.
True.
Because there's a cost of you being in existence today. So same way, in the market is never same like yesterday. It's always moving. So the question is, either it is moving from 12 to 6, meaning from boom to recession, or is moving from recession to boom, from 6 to 12.
Yes.
So either it is coming from 12 to 6 or is coming from 6 to 12. It's very simple like that.
Yes.
So you just have to know, as an investor, your job is not to cry where the dial is. Your job is to know the position of the dial and play the rule of that position.
Wow.
If the market is at 3, you have to play the rule of position 3. Just like in soccer, if you are a goalkeeper, you have to know what is job of a goalkeeper, but not a striker. But if you are a striker, you have to play the rules of the striker, not the goalkeeper. So same way, you have to know the rules of the game of every position in the clock. So that's, in a simple way, you can say it's a real estate clock.
That's a very powerful way of defining it.
Yes.
Can you tell us internationally where the clock is, and then zoom it down to Botswana in terms of extrapolating from what you've just explained?
Yeah. So it's going to be very hard for me to say where the internationally is, because, like I said, everything is about demand and supply. Now, my whole life is in Botswana, so I don't know even South Africa. I don't know Zimbabwe, I don't know Zambia. I can only tell you in Botswana that, where the clock is. So, so you have to look at it. What is demand? Demand is your population, your consumers. So you have to understand that, where the consumer, what is consumer looking for? Where there is a shortage of a certain asset class. So you see, in property we have different asset classes. It's residential, it's commercial, it's industrial, it's tourism, it's
retail.
Farming, it's many. There's many asset classes. So you have to know demand and supply gaps of each asset class.
Yes.
If you don't know those gaps, you will never know where the clock is. And this demand and supply gaps of each asset class are at a different level. So you have to identify where those gaps are first, so that you can know, okay, this is the projected demand for the next 5 years, and then you can come up with a solution.
Yourself, yes.
So if you don't know those, it's tough luck. So like if you look at office space in CBD, like I'm sure you have put up this building, and like you were saying that it's still empty after being
it's half empty now.
It's half empty after how many years of it being
well, it was occupied, but we're filling it in.
Yeah, but it's how many years now?
It's about 3 years now.
3 years. So you can say in 3 years, if the building is half, it means, it still is telling you that there is not enough demand for this asset class at this junction. Because technically, an investment like this, you only build it when you actually have off-take agreements.
Yes.
It's only that, you happen to be a rich dad and you can use your money to build this building. But if somebody, a startup or somebody beginner has to go to a bank, no bank will even fund you. And
well, I had to go to the bank, just so you know.
Nobody will even fund you to build this without you
just
having
that the tenant we had has moved out, so we now have to refill it now.
Sorry, I don't want to be like personal, but I'm just using
as an example.
So so you need to understand that yes, you need to have not only demand and average, you need to have people troubling you every day more than 10 that I need to rent this. That's when now you can say there's a shortage of something or there's a demand. So in each asset class, it's like this, you see. So if you look at today with this COVID, the shopping malls, they are battling because the whole productivity of the economy, every economy productivity has come down. Because end of the day, we draw profit out of economic productivity.
Activity, yes.
So we are not as productive as where we should be.
Yeah, and you've studied the Botswana market very, very closely. What do you say are the current socio-economic factors at play that are influencing the market or the demand in the market currently?
So you see, everything is all about, increasing the demand. You see, if you look at, as Botswana as a country, our job as a country, now I'm talking from, from a national interest point of view, our job is to increase demand of Botswana goods and services in the global market space.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can grow the economic size. Now, how do you increase the demand of Botswana products in the global space? That's the big question which, the leaders have to answer. Because we don't have a population growth. So
not
it
a
means
significant growth,
yeah, so
anyway.
it means we have a negative growth.
Yeah.
Because either you are expanding or you are contracting. So it means in terms of our demand, every year our demand is contracting, shrinking. We are in a negative growth economy. The only way to complement is if we can participate in a global market space. So our job is to increase demand of Botswana goods and properties every year. That's why if you see which sector is doing well, whether it is diamond, only because of the global demand. If it is tourism, it's the global demand. So same way, in property, we have one of the, you can say, the biggest setback from an economic point of view, which being the transfer duty. So we, by increasing the transfer duty,
it's now 30%, right?
for non-citizens, we actually saying that we are reducing the demand. We are interfering now with economics, demand and supply. We don't want more people to come and play in the market or participate in the market. It means we are reducing the demand. So when you reduce the demand of any asset, obviously its price is going to fall. That's simple economics.
Is it not a political issue, this one of transfer duty 30%? Because I think it came into effect two years ago.
So you see, can I request you? You see, look at this. I like to look at these three factors like this. Maybe the red color is better because it's always on top. Yeah. So you see, there are three balls: social, economics, politics. Politics is on top, especially the red one in Botswana. Yeah. You see, so job of politics is to keep an harmony between social and economics. Yeah. Because social people are the one which are giving the votes, put these people in power. Economics people are the one who create the jobs. But now, politics have to understand how to keep both parties happy. But somehow, I see this is not in harmony because we always crying for enough jobs.
Maybe that's why it's falling like this now.
Yeah. So there's always a cry about enough jobs, that we are not able to create enough jobs because of the population and the young population being growing. But economics people, their cry is that the market size is small. So I find that, it's somehow the basic fundamental principle is not understood or is misunderstood. Economic people need a bigger economic size. Only then they can be more productive, they can create more jobs. Yes. But how do you make an economic size bigger by being introvert?
Inward looking.
Yes. Because it's impossible, because this market size is negative. You can only do that when you participate in a global marketplace. So we have to position ourselves to participate in a global market space.
That's the only way we can grow.
The only way. But unfortunately, it's misunderstood, this principle, and we keep talking about it, but no real results.
And what would you say in the 2 years that we've had this 30% is the actual impact? Are you able to measure it, and are you able to explain it in a tangible manner that people can understand?
So who is big in the economy? You need to understand. What is the biggest driving factor in any economy? Is the financial sector, is the banks. Yes. Isn't it? Yes. So if you look at from a bank's appetite towards property, like yesterday we were discussing the same thing. Banks used to lend loan to value ratio of 90-100%. Now today what are they talking about?
If you're lucky to get 50.
50.
Yeah.
So that's your answer. So if you want to measure the health of any sector in Botswana, ask the bankers, because they are putting money in that asset class.
Explain to the viewers, they may not know what LTV is. Explain to them.
So LTV is loan to value ratio. So if you're buying a property for 10 million, if the bank is giving you 10 million or 9 million loan against that asset, that's loan to value. So end of the day, we have to use somebody's money to make money. It means that person has to believe in that asset class and the growth story. Now how do you measure that? If you go back 5-7 years, we could leverage from the bank 80, 90, 100%. That's how, like, I started a property business, that's how we grew. But today you cannot even raise 50% loan to value ratio. So that's your answer, that's your appetite, that's the response of financial sector to these changes.
Haven't they overreacted?
No, they haven't, because you need to understand, they're also in the business of making money. Who will say no to making money? But on the same time, you want to minimize your risk. You don't want to get hurt. So they can see that they might get hurt. So they are playing from, they are also using, other shareholders, investors' money. So they are also answerable to, give them those returns.
What do you say to politicians? They have to answer to their constituents. They say our constituents are concerned about foreign takeover of our land, tribal land, and this was the way of restricting it, ownership of tribal land by foreigners, and helping, influencing locals to buy tribal land. That is the political argument. How do we address it?
So, you see, I don't know, that's what I'm saying, some of these things are misunderstood. First thing you have to appreciate, the tribal land is already by law, is reserved for citizens. And is 67% of Botswana land. So it's already protected. When you say you cannot sell a tribal land to a non-citizen.
Citizen, yeah. Well, tribal farmland, I think tribal land.
Even tribal land.
Yeah.
You cannot sell.
But you can get ministerial permission or something.
For economic activities. Meaning if you want to put up a factory or you want to be commercially, something. Yes. Only for those. Not for speculating or something.
Yes.
So it's already protected. And it's 67% of Botswana land bank. So I'm not too sure, if they have to answer to constituents which way. I'm not getting that whole perspective because, we've been part of this, you can say, brainstorming sessions or stakeholders consultations from last 3 years. And every stakeholder was against it. But yes, there was people in power who wants to see certain changes. They did it. We don't know for what reason, but definitely for it, not for economic reasons. It is social and political reasons.
Yeah.
You see, so economics is compromised here. But in these three balls, definitely one will always feel compromised.
Yeah.
So you are saying of a social cry. Now social cry has been satisfied. Now economics cry. So if economic cry is satisfied, social will be happy.
Yeah.
So you see, that's why I was telling you, the politicians are also caught up in between.
Yeah.
They cannot satisfy both parties all the time.
Yeah.
Just like, at a home, if you have 2 children, you can't satisfy both of them.
No, you can't.
You just have to confuse them all the time and make sure they both feel happy.
Yeah. That's called parenting. Yeah.
So they are being our parent and they do their best. Sometimes this one will feel happy, sometimes this one will feel happy.
Yeah.
Life goes on.
I want us to talk about Apex. Apex gives advisory services to property investors. So what is Apex position to a young graduate who wants to climb the property ladder? And I think this one is important because you've been doing a lot of mentoring.
Yeah.
What is the best strategy to start and then grow your property portfolio from Apex's standpoint?
So I think it's going to be very hard for me to say from an Apex point of view, but I can say from a personal experience point of view.
Yeah.
Property investment is a long walk. It's a long journey. It's not a get rich quick scheme. I'm sure like you
I
are into
believe that, yes.
you are into property from last 35 years, and you still have your own battles.
Yes.
You see, so same way, property it's a long walk, just like a Mandela fight for freedom.
Yes.
So this one is a fight for financial freedom.
Yes.
So you cannot say that you are going to get rich in the next 2, 3, 5 years. It might take you 25, 30, 40 years. So it's mainly, it's for your next generation.
Yes.
You might not even reap the benefit of your own hard efforts, because any property you go and buy, you're going into a debt for 15, 20, 25 years. So for you to make money, you have to clear the bank twice. Meaning if you're going into a 20 years of debt, it means you need minimum 40 years. You see,
I tend to want
yeah,
shorter
so
terms, 10, 15 years.
Yes. So the best thing is, to just learn, get a right mentor, learn it first, and then go gradually. Look at it from a long-term perspective. Don't look at property as a get-rich-quick scheme, because there's nothing like that.
Yeah, but what is the strategy? What to buy, how to go about it, how to grow it slowly, say 5 years, 10 years, and so on.
So, the easy one always is to start from your primary house. Like that's how I started. You have to, because it's the easy to get even a funding. Because if you go to today any bank, you say you want a home loan, they'll still give it to you 100% or 90%. So that's where you can leverage, or you can loan to value ratio is today healthy. So you start from the first house, because it's an investment. That's how I started, and you can say that some of these, like even a decision of buying your first house, from my experience personally and being in property space, people only buy first property when there's a woman influence.
Yes.
Like I never made a decision of buying my own house. It was made by my wife. She put me in a corner one day that we need to buy a house, and she used her savings because I could not save. How when young men we can't save. So that's how, like from our experience also now, from last 20 years, people only buy a house when there's a woman influence. Either they are married or about to get married, and then they'll buy their first house.
Yeah, it's either you're influenced by your mother or by your wife.
By your wife. So, it only begins from your house. And then once you have your house, you understand, and then 2, 3 years down the line, you know you build an equity, and then you go and top up loan, and then you start your investment.
And what's the best strategy for Botswana to ensure property success, short, medium, and long term? In other words, what sort of assets to gun for, and how in this market do you get on a growth trajectory? So,
like you have to understand where there is a next 5, 10 years of growth, and under which asset class. So the only thing, especially when you look at, from a Gaborone point of view, this is our capital city. So good thing is Botswana population is not growing, but Gaborone population is always growing because of urban migration. Because it doesn't matter where you are born, but people come to Gaborone for economic reasons.
Yes.
Because this is where the economy is happening. Whether you are born in Shakawe, Ganzi, Maun, Kasane, you will end up here if you are a little ambitious.
Yes.
So the population of Gaborone is always growing. So you have to look at at Greater Gaborone, what is in demand, what assets can I put in, you see. But looking at our economy today, if you look at retail, I think it's already, retail is something which is only for, you can say, for institutional investors, because it's very capital intensive. If it is office buildings, such as CBD, also is almost like corporate or institutional investors, because it's very capital intensive. So for a beginner is only residential. They have to start some way. So the easy one to start is residential.
And then what is your take on multi-residential and commercial?
So you start from residential, go to multi-residential. That's how I started it.
Yeah.
And then from multi-residential, you can look at commercial. Yes.
And in terms of strategy, can you settle the argument between these two groups of people? Flippers on this side, buy and sell, and then buy and hold on this side. Can you settle the argument? Who's on a better trajectory? Who's got it right? Flippers or buy and hold?
I think they are both right in their own right and perspective, because you must understand, every investor is driven by their own strategy because of their capital base, whether this capital is available for short term or long term. So if you have a capital available for short term, definitely you cannot put in a long term investment. So you will want to look at opportunities where you can flip fast. But if you have a capital which is lazy capital, you can park for 5-10 years, you can put that in property, because property is, it requires lazy capital because it's not going to bring you quick return.
No, it won't.
You see, so it depends what is your capital appetite. You see.
Okay, you don't have any advice for beginners, for veterans, and so on?
No, like I'm saying, I wouldn't say advice. I can only share from my experience.
Yeah.
It's easy to start from a primary house, and then upgrade to the multi-res, and then upgrade to development opportunities, whether it is so it's more, in Botswana we are opportunity driven. You cannot be driven by investment strategy and philosophy because it's such a small market. Because if you say you want to follow one path, but what if it doesn't happen? So you have to look at from an opportunity point of view. Where is the opportunity in the next year or 2 years? So you work with the opportunities.
What advice are you giving property owners during this COVID era? How do they ensure survival, and how do they maneuver around the COVID situation?
So you have to appreciate that the economic total productivity of our economy and productivity of everybody, whether company or individuals or economy, is compromised. We are all at, you can say, in a safe mode. So even property investors have to appreciate that they want to draw some returns from productivity. So if productivity is compromised, it means everybody is compromised. So the quicker you accept, the quicker you adopt, it's better for you. The more you remain in illusion, the more you will suffer. Yes. So quick adopters will find a way.
I want you to practicalize that advice. How do we adopt? What is the strategy in practical terms? What do we do?
So practical terms, you have to understand the demand and supply of your asset. Who is fighting for it? If it's you fighting, it's not going to help you. Are customers fighting for your asset? If there's enough demand for it, then you gauge that first, and then you act accordingly. Okay. Or engage property professionals to help you, see, to test that for you.
Yes. And in terms of marketing, what marketing strategy do you advise for property owners in times like this?
So the good thing in Botswana is a small market. Doesn't matter what you try, everything will work, because it's just a matter of you putting a word out. And you can do it. Even yourself, on a Facebook, has become, we are one of the busiest, country in the Facebook. So it's people's choice, and today, in COVID, the digital world is even better than print media.
Yeah.
So I am sure that, there are many ways one can reach out, if they can look for self-help, but if they believe that some professionals need to help, there are many property practitioners in Botswana, who can help you.
Okay. Yeah. It's clear to me that you're a personal development enthusiast.
Yeah.
You believe in personal development. What do you recommend, either in terms of books or mindset, for somebody to be successful in property? So,
I personally believe that somebody has to put more emphasis on the economics, how the economy runs, how the financial markets behave, how the capitalism behave. So if you look at in Botswana, we, as much as we are 2 million people, but
somebody said 2.5 recently.
Let's say 2.5. But if you look at the biggest business in Botswana is the financial sector. People who give you money, the banks, micro lenders. So today our retail debt is sitting on 80 billion.
That's huge.
Yes. And how many productive people we have? Around 600,000. So 600,000 people have borrowed 80 billion from the banks. Now you can do the math. So
this is Pula, eh?
It's in Pulas,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
yes.
It's
yes.
not US dollars, at
Yes,
least.
yes.
Yeah.
So
it's a lot.
It's a lot. So you need to understand now what to do into this, because everybody is compromised in terms of spare capital or spare money. Everybody is buying power is compromised because we have lot of money committed to the interest. So the biggest income in our economy, I think it's actually an interest income, because everybody is got huge debt. So you have to understand now what spare money people have, what can you do where they will be able to buy your product or services.
I understand. I hear what you're
So
saying.
it's more about necessities, human basic needs. So you have to stick to basic needs. So in property point of view, it all comes to basic needs.
Okay, there's an argument that some people make that Botswana, as a country, as a developing economy, was in the exact same position as Dubai.
Yes.
Exact same position as Singapore 35 years ago, 40 years ago, let's say.
Yeah.
But these two economies have gone way, way ahead of us.
Yeah.
And yet we had similar opportunities, similar populations, similar circumstances. What do you say is the key to be able to maybe emulate or replicate some of the things that these economies are doing? In fact, first of all, is it possible for us to do it? And if it's possible, what will it take?
So you see, like I was saying, I don't agree, or I don't believe in this statement. I'll take you back to this three party relationship.
Yes.
So when you say we were same, you are saying our social cry and economic cry was the same 30 years back.
40 years or something.
Or 40 years
around
back.
independence. 40,
It was
50
never
years.
the same. Even today, our social cry, what in Dubai or Singapore and in Botswana is not the same.
Okay, social cry, you mean their requirements, our needs?
Yes, like we were discussing about this transfer duty. You said people were crying that they are selling our land to the foreigners. This is the social cry.
Yeah.
The social cry is that we need to be introvert. We need to protect our motherland and our land. You see, that's the cry. That's the pain of ordinary people. So our leaders are responding to this cry. Meaning basic needs.
Yes.
So our needs were never same the 40 years. Our needs are not same today. So I don't believe in this philosophy you are saying that Dubai or Singapore we are in the same, because we are never the same, because our social problems are different. Our economic problems are different. So our aspirations are different. Our ambitions are different.
So we should not entertain the notion that we should be like those nations.
It's impossible.
Or we should never strive to be like them.
It's impossible. We can't be. Because, you have to understand what is basic need of our people.
Yeah.
What are they willing to trade with? What are they willing to give? What are they willing to receive?
Wow, that's very good advice. That's very interesting. Okay.
They are not able to trade insecurity against economic development. Because the feeling today is about insecurity. That are we going to lose this land to the foreigners, or are we going to lose opportunities to someone? It's insecurity. You see, so can we trade insecurity with economic development?
I hear you.
So it's a very difficult one. It's a pendulum. We'll never get it right.
It's very difficult. It's very interesting how you look at it.
Yes.
Now I want us to go back to Botswana and to look at the real estate landscape in terms of the best places to invest and why. You're very active in Gaborone. I don't know whether you're active in Francistown. I don't know whether you're active in Maung and Palape. What do you say about those areas in terms of economic potential for real estate development?
So personally, I'm a Gaborone, you can say Gaborone boy, I hardly travel outside gaps.
Yes.
So I wouldn't have much knowledge about those markets, but I can tell you that I look at just basic economic fundamental. Where is population growth? Where is urban migration? So urban migration is in Gaborone. Looking at my balance sheet size, I don't have free money to gamble. I can still get return in Gaborone because I know urban migration growth is here. So whether it is citizens migrating, whether it is foreigners migrating to Botswana, everybody wants to have a base in Gaborone. So here your capital is safe. Other markets, I'm not too sure whether capital is safe or not.
Okay.
Because it might be looking good for 2, 3, 5, 7 years, but what after 10, 20 years? Because property is a long-term investment.
Yes, yes.
So I don't want to make decisions based on short-term, lucrative things, because all glittering things are not gold.
Yes, yes. Shiny objects. Yeah.
Shiny, yeah. So, somebody might excite you with a good deal today, but can you sustain 5, 7 years? Because if I go into debt with the bank for 15, 20 years, what after 5, 7 years?
Yeah, yeah.
When that tenant or that opportunity has naturally died, or it has moved on.
Yeah, yeah.
So, I look at, from a, you can say, just like Warren Buffett, he doesn't even invest in IT up to now. He'll buy a railway stock and Colgate.
He did buy a bit of Apple.
Yeah,
but that's after Apple was so successful.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. It took him
After
a long time.
Apple is no longer green now. You see, it's red.
Yeah.
It's ripe.
Yeah.
So same way, you have to buy first what is fundamentally strong.
Yeah, yeah.
Before you go for green zone.
Yeah, unless you are playing with money that you can afford to lose.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
No, that's very, very good advice. There's a thing called the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, which came into operation on the 1st of January this year.
Yeah.
The objective is to open up African markets for investment.
Yes.
Have you taken the time to look at its implications? And if you have, do you see any opportunities in other African countries for property investment?
So, my philosophy is that, if you want to check health of any property market in any country in Africa or anywhere in the world, you have to first check the financial sector's health. You cannot make an assessment in isolation of the financial market. So Botswana has got the best financial market in terms of whole Africa.
You think so?
Not think so, because this is the only, you can say, country where banks are making so much money, or our pension funds, institutions have so much money. If you go to Zimbabwe, there's no banking system. You go to Zambia, there's no banking system. The cost of lending is so high. So I haven't come across any country in Africa which is better than Botswana from a financial market point of view.
Have you investigated Kenya and Nigeria and South Africa, those three big powerhouses?
Yes, I haven't, you can say, zoomed down or zeroed down to very, very detail, because, property is a very capital intensive business. So you need to have a good first capital base to say, okay, let me go out and, with a few $1 million and even start, which I don't have that kind of money, so I never bother. But, but if you have to look at from a financial leverage point of view, those markets are not where Botswana is. So it's a very hard to start a business in those economies, because if we go there, what strength do we have? You can't say, I'm from Botswana, I want to set up a company. What value are you bringing to that economy?
That's the main thing.
Yes, in terms of skill, talent, they have much better skill and talent than us.
Yeah, but that's the whole purpose of AFTA, to say we can increase the economies of scale and increase the chances of succeeding by playing in other markets and allowing other African business people to come into Botswana. That is the objective.
But you need to understand from an economics point of view, they are looking to grow the productivity of the economy. So when they are inviting you, they want you to come and grow the productivity in the economy.
Yes.
With your capital. You see?
True.
So if you are not taking capital, how will you grow the productivity?
No,
like even in Botswana, if you look at it, if we are inviting investors, the underlying fact is that people must come with their capital and invest here.
Yes.
But if they come and borrow from our own banks, they are not bringing any capital.
Yes, yes.
They are using our capital, you see, to grow our own productivity.
I understand.
So it's a tough one,
Yeah.
And trade, you have to first understand how big economies are trading today. If you look at, China is the biggest trading partner with any country today. Can you compete with the Chinese? If you can't, how are you going to add value?
Yeah, the thing that I'm a little curious about, still drilling down a little bit more on partnerships, is how to make them enduring, and how to advise these youngsters how to approach partnerships at the beginning to make them successful. Based on your experience, what are you able to share?
So, this decision or a choice of you building partnership, it's a very, very, you can say, personal thing, because you have to appreciate that, at that stage of your life, at that age of your life, you need somebody to complement you. So once you have that fundamental, acceptance within you that you need somebody to complement you, only then, you'll be able to appreciate. You have to, like, when you're young, like even me when I was young, this partnership happened, you can say it's more like a destiny or luck, It was not something which we planned. But when you are young, you either you are very confident, overconfident, over ambitious, or you are depressed. You don't believe in yourself. So if you are somebody who is overconfident, then you'll always believe your way of doing things is right, until you start believing that you also have some weaknesses. It's not only strength, because everybody has strength and weakness.
Yes.
And when you learn about your own weaknesses, only then you want somebody to complement you. So it's more about your spiritual being inside you knowing yourself better. Because if you don't know who am I, who you are deep inside, then it's going to be very difficult to find an answer that whether you need a partner or not. But from a professional side of it, we are living in a very competitive world. So there's no how today you alone can make in this competitive world, because we are just a small part of a bigger ecosystem, of a value chain. So, and everything is interconnected.
Yes.
So you have to learn how to connect with other puzzles, pieces. Whether you connect in a way of partnership, or you connect in a whatever methodology you use or you call it, but you have to connect with other pieces.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, so you're part of a value chain. You are not a chain yourself. You'll always be a small part in a value chain.
Yes.
So you have to find yourself first, so that you can relate better with this whole ecosystem. So you can name it, you can classify it, you can give a shape you want to give, whether partnership or whatever you want to call it. But just appreciate.
You need people.
Yes. You need to appreciate that you are a small part or a component of a bigger value chain.
So collaborate.
You have to connect with others. How you connect is up to you, but learn to connect.
Yes.
Yes.
I like that. We touched on diversification earlier, and the diversification we're talking about is diversification outside property. But there's other types of diversification, which is diversify within property.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about how you've approached diversification within property as an investment class with subclasses?
Yes. So you see, like I personally, like you can say, the three major asset classes: residential, commercial, industrial. I participate in all, because economic cycles in all are different. So you have to interact with the market in all asset classes, so that you can see which one is doing good at that time, which one is not doing good, so that you can always keep shifting your money, your capital, your investment.
Yes.
So you have to participate in all for you to appreciate what's going on.
Yes.
So I participate in all.
So don't you have one which is more weighted than others?
It will always be the case, because it can't be always there's no equilibrium in life. You see, so sometimes you'll have this side, bigger share, this side small, but it's always a moving targets, because you are always adopting to the market forces.
Yes.
Yes.
And are you able to say in Botswana which asset class has generally performed better than others?
So, now it also boils down to your people's personal perspective, personal balance sheet, because all asset classes are doing well, for some, and for some not. So it's also, property investment is all about first buying it right and doing it right. If you are playing it right, every asset class is giving you a return. Because if you know how to be productive, you can be productive in every asset class. The problem is when you don't know how to be productive. When you work against market forces, that's where the problem comes in. So I play in all asset class, and I look where I can be productive. So I am making, you can say I see growth in every asset class.
Oh, okay. No, you've answered me well.
Yes.
You're one of those, property agents or real estate agents who've done very well by investing. But it's fair from my observation to say that the great majority of estate agents don't even invest in real estate or in property. Why is it that some of your colleagues in your industry who are deeply steeped in the industry are not performing very well in property, although they've been trained in property? That's what I've observed.
So I can't speak on anybody's behalf, but I can just tell you that it's all about deep level intentions. Why do people go into property first of all? So I personally, my first degree is accounting. I went into property only because of numbers. I love the numbers in property.
Just like I started with law and moved
Yes.
into property.
Yes, so I'm sure like you went also because of numbers.
Yeah.
So I just went into property because of numbers, because property is one of the, you can say, investment vehicle where you can, use other people's money to make money, meaning the banks, the debt. So my reason for going into property was only simply that because our financial institutions support that.
Yeah.
And you can't do any business without property being in the center of your business, because if you need an overdraft, bank is going to ask you for a security. If you need any facility, they are going to look for security, and the only security which banks believes and accepts is property from a Botswana perspective, because
most countries,
no other developed countries, the other institutions, the other instruments. In Botswana, there's no advanced or hybrid or innovative instruments which our financial markets understand, because we are you can say a developing economy. We haven't reached that level where you can bring in instruments which you can say in South Africa or in UK works. It's going to be difficult because market structure is different. So from a simple developing economy, the property is well accepted security for banks, and it works. So that is like I like to start from a reverse engineering. You have to know first financial market. So your pain if your pain is property, you'll never make money. If your pain is making money, then you learn that money, how money world works.
I'm only asking you this question because some of my mentees are saying, Mr. Mogobe, why are estate agents not succeeding in property when they've studied for so long? There has to be some reason, explanation. I don't have it. Maybe you have it.
No, like I'm saying, I can't speak on others people's behalf, because in the market, there's different. Everybody is different.
Yes.
It's not like they are not succeeding. Some are succeeding, some are not succeeding.
But by and large, they are not succeeding in property.
So maybe their financial skill is not as good a way it should be, because just property skills cannot make you money.
Yes.
Because property doesn't make you money. It's financial skill which makes you money.
Yes.
So maybe they have to complement with financial skills their property skills.
Yes. You need to have the financial skills.
Yeah. Okay. So you have to learn many things today. Today, like I'm saying, in this ecosystem, in this value chain, you cannot make money by being good in one thing. You need multiple things to work together.
That's true. That's very true.
So if you just focus on one, it will never work.
Yeah, that's true. All right. This is the crystal ball moment where we say, look at the imaginary crystal ball where you're looking to your future, 5, 10, 20 years down the line, in terms of the sort of ambitions you want to see realized, the goals you have. Where do you see Apex? Where do you see yourself 5, 10, 15 years from now?
So, you can say, from an Apex point of view, we well diversified. Our job is, to grow all our businesses to the best possible. But end of the day, we are riding the market. So everything is about market potential. So which I cannot project what is going to be the market scenario in Botswana for next 2, 3, 5 years, because the buying power is shrinking. The like retail debt, like I was saying, people's buying power is on a negative growth. So it's not looking that good until some game changer strategies are put in place. So we at the moment, we have to go with the flow. I cannot tell you, because population is growing, income is growing, buying power is growing. At the moment, everything is shrinking. Population is shrinking, buying power is shrinking, debt on average people is growing.
I'm not sure if the population is shrinking, or because of COVID, maybe,
I don't know. Just generally, you see.
Yeah.
So all those factors are not exciting, which if you look at 30, 40 years back, our national debt was also very, very minimum. There was no debt like this. Today the debt is alarming. So it means people have already spent money for next 20 years. You see, so we have to go with the flow. You know, we
So
are.
you're not even in a position to make predictions 5-10 years from now,
It's difficult.
or at least to make ambitious plans like
No,
that.
it's I from personal level, I don't see, you know, us. There's no point us being over ambitious, or there's no point us being ambitious, because we are drawing from a small market, small productive zone. You know, so
you
we
just
go with
sort
the
of
flow.
Go with the flow, one day at a time, sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know. Okay, this is the time when you get to ask me a question, sir. I think we've covered most things.
Thank you so much. You know, I really appreciate. But you know, I think you are somebody I met when I was still, you know, in my 20s, in my early age. You know, and that is the time when, you know, you also shared, you know, some similar, like, you know, about the book and the philosophy. And that time you mentioned that, you know, your mentor is Mr. Jamali, being in the property. And it's nice to see that, you know, after 20 years that, you know, you have managed to build a decent property portfolio. You know, from a Botswana perspective, you know, you are one of the successful property guru or investor. So, you know, I would like to know, what is the secret sauce which worked for you, you know? What is that you have to share, you know, with young aspiring, also people who want to use property as a vehicle to grow?
Yeah. I think you've answered that question already in the earlier part of the presentation. Personal development, that's the biggest one. What we did was have Mr. Kiyosaki shake us up.
Yes.
But once Mr. Kiyosaki has done his part, we followed down that path of learning and reading more. And thankfully we had good examples. I had mentors. My 3 mentors that I talk about repeatedly is Mr. Mahang, what he did in Pakalane, and how he went about it. I saw most of it, because remember at the time I was at Minchin and Kelly when I started as a young lawyer there, and he was a consultant there. He was a minister who would come out of cabinet meetings and then literally go to Minchin and Kelly and work on the Pakalane blueprint. He designed it when he was there, and I was there as a student. I mean, as a student and then as a young lawyer. So I saw it come out of nowhere. I think it was around, I was coming from Edinburgh in '86 when the blueprints were actually shown to the partners. And in '87, when I started practicing, is when he actually was starting selling bits of land. And my first purchase, one of my first purchases, and I still have the piece of land now, is an industrial in Pakalane, which I put the warehouses in there. So that was a combination of reading, learning, and also having the right mentors. And with regard to Mr. Jamali, like I told you, he was my client. When he went on property deals and property negotiations, I did that for him as a lawyer. And I did some of those agreements until I asked him, how did you go about this? Can't I be part of this? And then he said, of course, this is how I did it. And then I was a good student and I absorbed the information. And we're still friends. I go to him every now and then. And then, of course, the third one is Mr. Muni, who's my neighbor here in I Towers. So I've been very lucky to have people like that around me, and many others who I can't mention. So your question was really, what's the secret sauce? The secret sauce is that there's no secret sauce. That it's out there. The secret is out. You know, you just have to hang out with the right people and go through the process of trial and error. Keep pushing forward, pushing forward. Try this, but keep moving forward, just like you do on a daily
Just have
basis.
the courage.
The courage, the perseverance, and the tenacity. I trust I've answered your question.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Now I want you to talk to these property enthusiasts who are watching you, a lot of youngsters who are excited about property. I want you to leave them with some motivational words, some words of encouragement as we conclude our conversation. Look at that camera and talk to them.
So I think, you know, the best thing is, you know, learn property, learn the financial markets, learn about how money works, and then you combine the both, you know, how you can extract value out of them. And that's the best, you know, I can say.
Okay.
All the best.
Tell them how they reach you and what your contact details are.
I think it's very easy. You know, our landline is 397 Quad 3, and we are on the New Lobatse Road, plot 14400, Apex Properties. We sell fat cakes, so I'm sure we someone very easy to find us.
And then on social media?
We are also on social media. They can reach us on Facebook, LinkedIn. So I'm not very active on Facebook, but yes, on LinkedIn I'm easy to reach. So yes.
And then what about the retail, the business, the e-commerce business?
Yeah, e-commerce business. It's apexmart.co.bw. So you can just log in and then reach us there. Yes.
All right. Yes. Let me take this opportunity to thank you, sir. You've been a great guest.
Yes.
You've been very generous in sharing information, and I'm sure a lot of people have been reached. I want you to promise me that you'll come next time. This time you're focused on the property clock.
Yes.
Next time you'll be focused on some other aspect. You'll visit us again?
Yes.
Is that a promise?
Sure.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, and all the best.
All right.